Okay. Cool. What's up, comic book fans? There we go. This is Comic Books Transformed. This is Comic Books Transformed with Pete right over here and my good friend Brian over there. And we discuss comics that have been adapted into movies and streaming shows. Me, personally, guys, I'm a little sad because one of our favorite shows just had its season finale, Fallout. And now Brian and I are going to talk about it. Brian, has it been confirmed that there's going to be a season 3?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, who knows how long? So they turned around the second season of this show pretty fast. Like there was maybe like a little over a year or something like that, which feels unreal for shows these days.
Right. Right.
So yeah, I feel like this came pretty quickly. Like it was almost a year later, wasn't it?
I know. I was surprised at how soon it showed up. I think it was a little bit of a year, or like maybe a little less. I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm pretty sure they confirmed a third season. And I hope they stick to the week to week model, although they may go back to binging. I don't know.
Yeah.
As I remember saying last week, I remember, a lot of people just don't seem to like that.
Made any sense to me. I mean, the other show that we're covering, Wonder Man, I could totally understand why you would binge that and go through it real quickly. But a show like this, I feel like, you want to savor it and enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel like that about most things, honestly. Like, unless it's something older and you're trying to catch up or something, like I just don't like binging. I like taking my time between things, but
Yeah.
if I guess the idea behind it is if there's nobody else watching it and there's no one to even talk to about it, in your regular life, I guess binging makes sense. I don't know how many people in real life that watch these shows. I don't, and even the ones that I know, some of the friends I know that watched season 1 said they hadn't even started season 2 yet. So I don't know.
Okay. I know some people where they want a show to go all the way through and then end, and then they'll start watching it.
I feel like that about comic books sometimes.
Right.
Right. We've talked about this at length. Some of those are like image books. What were we talking about recently? Exquisite Corpses, World Tree, Nice House in the Lake, Nice House by the Sea. Like I think they're all the same writer. God, is that all? Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's sometimes I can respect that idea that some things are kind of confusing and you lose something in between the pace of release. I think it's worse with comic books than it is with a week-to-week TV show. I think there's plenty of, that's a good amount of time a week,
Yes. Well, we've taken a good amount of time talking about binging versus non-binging. Let's get right into this episode. I have a whole bunch of questions about the game, and I have a couple of theories about things. But let's just do what we've been doing, where we talk about each character's story arc. I wanted to talk about Lucy because I wanted to talk about that woman's head.
Yes.
Okay, so that woman's head, we speculated, we got a little deep about why they were using that particular woman. And now in this episode, they reveal something like, I hate these moments, Brian, because we'll have these conversations on here and it's like publicly documented that like I've said certain things. And then you'll see it on a TV show and it's like totally obviously explained. And you're like, oh, why the fuck did I think that? Like that woman, essentially the reason why they used her, and I'm assuming that she's just basically the source for like the code they use for the chips. It's not like she's some kind of network that they're using.
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming, because it clearly seems to be that that Lucy does put her out of her misery. Which I can't believe she was alive, by the way.
Yeah, that was god awful. Yeah. But they explained it. They used it because she was sort of like optimistic and positive. They said which personality type she had on that scale that gives you your different letters. Have you ever taken that test, by the way?
If I did, it was a long time ago. I don't remember what it was, but
yeah, I know mine. I don't know off the top of my head. I had to do it for my job, but I'm like, oh, okay. I did not match that woman's personality, but but yeah. So Lucy kills her. This is a pretty creepy scene, and then we have all this stuff with Hank and Lucy, where he you know, it's pretty sinister. And what was great about this episode is that there were so many things sort of building up to climaxes at the same time. And then we just kind of got like one climax, then another climax, then another climax. I thought it was a really well put together season finale. What do you think?
This all the story arcs kind of crescendoed nicely in the same location here, at the same time. And I think, I mean, I guess that happened in season 1 too, because they all got to that. I guess it was the NCR base. I don't remember even more wherever Moldaver was. Like everybody was showed up there at the same time too, but it was a little different this time. And
yeah,
it seems this time it's a little different this time because it doesn't feel as much like an ending.
right.
Like it feels like it's like, hey, this is like a continuation. This is just the beginning of something here. With the Legion marching on Vegas. You have the NCR in Vegas. You have the Ghoul going to Colorado, and then you have whatever's going to happen with the Brotherhood as well. Did you see the post credit scene? By the way, I did text you about it. Okay,
you told me about it. Yeah, and we can talk about that when we talk about Maximus. But here's a question that kind of applies to all the characters. Doesn't it kind of feel like Lucy's story they thought about and they kind of figured out what the character's going to be like in the arc they've gone through. Whereas with the Ghoul and Maximus, it almost kind of feels like they kind of pivoted or did things on the fly. Like I feel like Lucy, it makes sense where she's ending up in season 2 at the end now. But with Maximus and the Ghoul, I feel like they're very different characters from when we were first introduced to them.
Maybe you could make that argument for Maximus because it does feel like his arc took a right turn at the end of the first season. The Ghoul feels like this was always what it was about.
Okay.
He was always looking for his family, but we've got a much better view into it this season than the last. Well, I'm sorry, not much better. We got more of a view into it this season than last.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I want to stick with Lucy's story, but I got to ask this question now because it's just coming up. But what was the delay for him to like make progress with finding his wife and daughter? Like, because in this season, it's very much like a straightforward path. Like, do this, do this, do this, and you're going to get to your wife and daughter. Like, he's been around for 200 years. How come he hasn't gotten to this point? Like, what was the delay?
He said that he had heard. Did he say he didn't know there was a vault in Vegas, or he couldn't find the vault in Vegas? I think he
didn't know there was a vault in Vegas.
Yeah, it's one of those two things there. But
okay.
This whole trip for him was about he had an inkling of where Hank was going, and he assumed his intent was to use Lucy as that bargaining chip, which we saw a few episodes ago. So I think that direction for him was always meant to be, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, once they start showing his backstory and the Cooper Howard in the flashbacks is so different from the Ghoul in the present day. And it's sort of like the show's kind of like bringing them both together into one character, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, granted, the Ghoul's a bit more rough around the edges. I mean, he's lived a rough life. And, he's a Ghoul after all. He's constantly on the brink of turning into a mindless murdering machine.
Right. And when he shows up at the beginning of the first season, he's like in a coffin, and they kind of revive him, right? So he's like in some kind of stasis.
Yeah, I guess he was in some kind of state of suspended animation in some regard. I don't really understand how that worked. I don't remember anything like that from the games particularly. But yeah, it looks like they infused him with some kind of fluid, and that woke him up, and then he killed them all. But why he's in that state, we don't know.
Okay. All right. Well, I definitely want to talk about the Ghoul and Cooper, but let's talk about Lucy some more. So, as everything's kind of reaching this crescendo point, the dad, Hank, has this former Centurion like choking her, and he's basically going to like brainwash or like take over his daughter's mind. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, this is so messed up,
Yeah. I imagine this. So I remember I've mentioned Kyle MacLachlan's like social media posts before, and how great I think they are. There was one where he's like sitting there like sighing and like in costume on set. He's like, "Oh, it's like I'm just unfortunately have to do a horrible thing and be a horrible dad on this TV show." I
Right.
imagine that this was the scene he was referencing.
Right.
Because he really wanted to, brainwash, take away his daughter's,
Identity.
Identity, yeah.
Yeah. I know. I just in that moment it was almost too much to take. And then I was glad that she was able to, get free of him, and then she was able to capture him. She was able to get free of him because the ghoul shot him in the ass.
Yes. Yeah, very timely assist.
Right. And then I did think, oh, maybe she's just gonna like execute him, just shoot him with the gun that the ghoul gave her. But then, right.
Before that, I just kind of realized something here that kind of thing, and this happens in Fallout Shelter too. So maybe you'll understand this or the reference. But there's is there someone, is a character called like the Stranger or something like that?
Yes.
This basically pops up every so often and offers like an unbelievable timely assist out of nowhere to help you. That's what I felt like, kind of, and I hope that was the intent of it.
Okay. Well, okay, that brings up a point I want to talk about with Norm, but I just want to wrap up Lucy and her dad real quick. There is one thing I want to talk about with Norm that goes along just about that. So, are you satisfied with the way that it ended with Hank? Because I'm pretty sure Hank's storyline is done at this point.
Yeah, I'm not completely sure that he's off of the show yet, but yeah, I think that he chose to activate that switch in his neck and erase everything, because rather than keep his own autonomy and face the justice that Lucy wants to give him.
Yeah, because she wasn't going to kill him. She was basically going to make him be like this idealized version, like what she believed. It's a great line. I'm going to turn you into the father I thought you were. This is an excellent line.
Well, yeah, and it's especially great as a counter because he said something, opposite to her when he was going to put her, like, the daughter I thought I had or something.
Yeah, it's funny because there's dynamics like this a lot in genre fiction where like the parent might be evil. There might be some kind of issue with the kid, right? As a parent, could you see yourself doing something to hurt your child if you thought that it would be for their own good?
Talk about a heavy question, man.
No. Just answer it on the internet, so it can be recorded.
So, like you said, there's a record of it for everyone to see forever.
Yes.
I imagine there's some circumstance for everything, but it would be a very, very far-fetched scenario that you have to have something like that. Nothing like this for sure. I would see this as I raised this child right. Like, Lucy's kind of choosing individuality and, people making their own decision, freedom, all that, rather than that kind of mindless conformity that Hank was seeking with his experiments.
Yeah, well put, man. You dodged that bullet. Good job. The ghoul did not shoot you in the ass there. And I feel like I'm being unfair. I feel like I almost kind of like set you up so I could be like, well, here's my answer because I'm awesome. But like, I noticed that when it comes to parenting, I think my main thing is I want my kids to make their decisions for themselves. And that's what like this whole fucking arc is about taking away people's ability to make decisions for themselves, That kind of segues into another thing, and then we're going to talk about Norm in a second. But Jonathan Nolan, this is his third show in a row that I know that he's connected to. He's maybe done stuff in between, but I know he's done like Person of Interest. He's done Westworld, and he's done this. Now, I've never seen Person of Interest, but I know that essentially there's like an AI in that show, and it can kind of predict when crimes are going to happen, almost like a Minority Report, So it's like, that in itself is saying like maybe free will isn't a thing. Then have you ever watched any of Westworld? I think we might have talked about this.
I maybe watched the first couple episodes of the first season, but I don't remember why I didn't continue with it.
Okay. I don't want to bore you. I might have even said this to you before, but like basically one of the suggestions in Westworld is that like humans are just as like programmable or predictable as robots, maybe even more so. So it's the whole idea of like programming, free will. That was a big thing in Westworld. That was the main theme of Westworld. And then this show, I think that Hank says this line. I know that Mr. House absolutely says this line. But like there's the line that is said multiple times in this episode of you think this is the real world, but it's not. And Mr. House implies that I think maybe Hank implies, one of them implies that the wasteland is actually the experiment and not the vaults.
Yeah, I thought about that a lot, and I'm kind of wondering if he means the wasteland as it is, or the wasteland is the staging ground for the experiment in the future for stage phase 2 or whatever it is. That's what I was kind of going back and forth between.
Right. And when you talk about
if it is the former, and that's a very poetic way of putting it, that's like a kind of like a needle drop moment. But I'm not 100% sure that is, because I don't see how it is, like how that works.
Yeah. Well, we could talk about that more with the phase 2 stuff in a little bit, but let's talk about Norm, because you brought up this great point of having this character sort of serendipitously show up and help your character out in the game. Like with Norm, that was the one problem I had with this episode, was the Norm sequence. Because essentially, he's going to be executed by all these people that he woke up in the vault. They're onto him. The girl that he likes gets shoved by one of the guys. She hits the elevator button, and the rad roaches come out and attack everyone. Now, I felt like her hitting the button was sort of too much Deus Ex Machina. It's kind of like too lucky. Like I think I would have actually preferred it if she had like consciously did that herself versus like accidentally hit the button. And then the other thing was that like all the people end up in a room. They push Norm out, and then like unfortunately they're not able to close the door, and so the rad roaches go in and slaughter everyone. But then the one girl who was on Norm's side was alive. That kind of bothered me.
That was kind of. I also felt that was kind of like a little bit bullshit. It was a little bit too lucky. You're right. I don't know what their intents are with Norm. I feel like we didn't call that at all.
Right.
And I feel like he was really just kind of treading water all season. Like not much other than him finding out about the FEV. Like that's all that really happened, I think, with him this season, compared to everybody else.
Yes. I mean, he lets those people out of the vault, like they're in stasis or whatever, they're frozen, and he wakes them up. But then they all get killed off.
But that happens in the first episode of the season, and then they barely do anything. Like after there's that one episode where the guy kind of calls him out, and then like we've gotten after that he has maybe like 2 minutes an episode since then, and not much with him happens. And then like we said, everybody dies except for the two characters that are friendly, Norm and the girl whose name I don't remember.
Yeah, I mean, if we're doing our fantasy booking, if we're trying to kind of think ahead, so he saves her. She's going to be like a companion. They're probably going to develop a relationship over the next season, and then I'm assuming he's going to get reunited with Lucy. I think also what's an important point to point out, an important point to say is that like I think he's under the impression that Lucy is dead.
Someone told no. Oh yeah. Was it Monjun? Monjun said that. I don't think he believes that for a second. I think that he no, because he was one of the things he was doing at the end of the last episode and the beginning of this was he was on that radio and he was calling out to I think Lucy and his dad. But I believe that he's probably taking. Is her name Ruth? He's taking the girl back.
Yeah.
I think he's taking the girl back to Vault 32, 33. That's where I think he's going. Okay. I think he's going to link up to whatever's going to happen there with Stephanie and the other dwellers there, because we didn't, other than that, not that much happened there either, other than all the revelations with Stephanie.
Yes. So let's actually transition to that, because that's a good way to kind of cover all this other stuff. So basically, there's a very brief scene with Stephanie. She's locked in her office, the overseer's office, and the people that are in her vault want to like get her, bring her to justice, and then they eventually start saying like kill management or whatever.
Yes.
And we do see more of her because there's a flashback, and we see that she basically spent the whole night talking to Hank in the past when Cooper was in that hotel or whatever. And then she reveals that Hank proposed to her, or Hank reveals it, whatever. And that's this interesting twist, right? Because I'm like, Hank had a wife, right? Like that's Lucy and
I am
Norm's mom.
super curious what happened there. I would love to know what happened that night to cause that proposal to happen there. What conversation or whatever happened to cause such a drastic action to occur.
Right.
And then, I mean, and in terms of we do know that Lucy and Norm think their mom like left or took them out of the vault at some point and went to Shady Sands, and she refused to leave. Now we know that Kyle MacLachlan, Hank, looks a lot younger in the past, and he looks a lot older, unlike some of the characters. So I think at some point, Stephanie was probably only recently unfrozen, so he probably kind of found somebody else in the meantime while he was, and I think he was just unfrozen for a bit longer as he's clearly aged.
Yeah,
it's like only like him and Betty have aged. That's it.
Right. Now here's the $1 million question: is he the father of Stephanie's baby?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm kind of wondering that myself.
Yeah.
I'm also, I mean, I was also trying to think of like, is Stephanie possibly one of their mothers? But that's probably not the case.
Right. Because I think all we saw of the mom was just that kind of ghoulish corpse of her, right?
Yeah, and the fact that the kids know Stephanie, they know who she is, and she still looks as young as she did in the 2050s or whatever the heck that timeline is, whatever that year is. So I don't think that's a possibility, but I wouldn't put it past that bad baby to be Hank's.
Yes, but like, there's no scene in the first episode that really alludes to there being some secret thing going on between Hank and Stephanie, right?
Nope. The most information you got on that was when she was trying to get the case from Hank's office. I mean, clearly she had some insider knowledge.
Yeah.
So that's probably what it was. She knew about whatever she knows what phase 2 is, or stage 2.
Okay, well, Brian, that's what I want to ask you now. What the fuck is stage 2?
I have no idea. Something with the FEV. That's the best I can come up with. I have no idea.
Okay. Do you think that they would put that in the different vaults, or they would put the virus in the vaults, or they would spread it on the surface? What do you think is more likely?
That's what I was expecting, honestly, this whole time, that she was going to enable something, and it was something to do with the water chips and all that, the water supply. That was how they were going to deliver the virus, and that was what was going to happen. But, based on Hank's goal was to, to me, Hank was an associate or worked for the Enclave, although he's a Vault Tech employee. But at the same time, he's working on improving a rival company's product, which was Mr. House and the mind control. So he's like all over the fucking place.
He really is. Yeah. The Enclave, they have this reveal, right? When she's in the office and she says, execute phase 2 or begin phase 2. Then they cut to where the Enclave is located. It's like in the mountains somewhere. It's this really cool fortress. It looks like it's sort of suspended over like a chasm. Yeah. And then they just play all these recordings that are either like happening at the moment or they've happened throughout the season. You have Norm's recording, you have Hank's recording. Stephanie reveals that she's Hank's wife in her recording. Hank says, I served the Enclave, but I work for Vault Tech. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much going on in that one scene. With the Enclave, they showed a couple of scientists. They showed some sort of like robot that was floating around.
Yeah, that little probe dude. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I have no idea. Are they super powerful in the games?
Well, I mean, that's the remnants of that's like the shadow government, really. You know, that's
Yeah.
So they're looking to control everything, and yeah, I guess you could say they're powerful. I suppose, and I imagine that base is in Colorado, and that's why it has to do with the one of the other character endings.
Yeah. Well, I there's one point about Hank that we didn't bring up, but I wanted to say too, was he talks about Mr. House when he's talking to Lucy. He's doing like a kind of like a villain monologue, and he's saying that like Mr. House basically wanted a world of robots, and Mr. House is kind of a robot himself, and Hank's plan was to give them more personality, right? And so once again, it's like I feel like there's that Jonathan Nolan presence because it's talking about like artificial intelligence and humanity and like what's the evolution, like what happens next, and is it better to have robots, is it better to have people? Like it's all like really juicy stuff, and they're able to plug it in there among like the many different plot threads going on.
Yeah, but at the same time though, if it's all programmed, is it really better?
I mean, I think as humans, as the audience, we're to be like, well, that's the villain, he's misguided.
Yeah.
They really on this show, I don't think they've ever made robots look good. Like they never made robots look like, oh, that's a good robot, or like robots could be helpful. I don't think it's ever happened.
Oh, there is Victor.
Is that the one that's voiced by the guy from
the cowboy face sort of thing on the screen?
Oh yeah. That's a good point.
Cooper runs into him, so yeah, there's at least him.
Okay. Well, okay. So let's actually jump ahead because I feel like this becomes relevant now. So they have that post-credit scene, and it's the Brotherhood of Steel, and Quintus is saying like Quintus, the Peace Forger, or whatever the fuck, is dead, or Mediator is dead. It's time for Quintus the Destroyer, and he takes out like these battle plans. Is that a fucking robot?
That's Liberty Prime, baby. So Liberty Prime is a giant, like giant robot. He was at least in the end of the third game in this big battle you take part of, and it's really awesome. I've read he's also in the fourth game, but I didn't finish the fourth game, so I don't know if I didn't get up to that.
So I mean, like, is he like Devastator size? Is that the idea?
Yeah, pretty much. Yes, he's giant. Yeah.
Does he serve the Brotherhood of Steel?
Yes, yeah. So in the third game, you are kind of aligned with the Brotherhood in the Commonwealth. No, wait. The Commonwealth is Boston. Is that one Boston? No, that's DC. No. So the Commonwealth is the fourth game, and you're in DC in the third game. So you are aligned with the Brotherhood in DC. I don't believe that's like a choice or not. I think that's just like what happens. But but yeah, there's a big battle. I don't remember who you're fighting against. Is it the Enclave? Is it the Institute? I don't remember. But yeah,
there's a thing called the Institute.
Yeah, there's also the Institute. Yes, and they're really robot based.
Okay.
Wow. But yeah, I don't remember all that much about it. But yes, Liberty Prime is a giant robot, and he was, I don't think you get to control it. I think you just kind of see it in action as you're kind of charging forward. But it's been 15 years since I've seen the end of Fallout 3, probably. So
wait, its fucking name, it has Prime in its name?
Liberty Prime is the name of the robot, yes.
Okay, perfect. Nice. Okay. So, once again, like another thread, like, oh my God, this is coming in season 3. Like every faction, we had to make sure we knew what was going on with each faction before this season ended. So I want to go back into Cooper now because I want to talk about Mr. House some more.
Sure.
Okay, so with Cooper, he's able to wake up Mr. House. He's on the screen. Then he's on the Pip Boy or whatever you call it, right? That's what you call the thing on the arm, right?
Yep.
Okay. He's got the Pip Boy, and Mr. House is on there, and Mr. House is talking to him as he's going down into the vault to go find his wife and daughter. And he's talking about how things changed because of Cooper. We realize it's because Cooper gave the president what do they call it? The diode. Thank you. And so that kind of changed things. And then that sped things up. And then,
oh, by the way, I love that there's a point where Cooper is talking to Mr. House and he has his gun pointed at the diode powering his systems. And he says, you wouldn't want to do that because it's just the amount of energy that's contained in there and the destructive force would likely extend beyond the planet.
Right.
I was not expecting to hear those words.
It was fucking amazing. I think he said it would affect other planets.
Yeah.
I think is what he said. I love that. That was fantastic. But like with that whole sequence, there was more things said. There's a lot like going on, and oh, this is the key point. He was saying that he realized there was another player when he saw the what do you call it? The fucking Deathclaw.
Yes.
So are they implying that the Institute made the Deathclaws?
No, the Enclave.
I'm sorry. That's what I meant. I meant the Enclave. That's what I meant.
Yeah, I believe. The Enclave made the Deathclaws. And then he said that he was close with something, but with something else, like he never even saw it coming. So he knew there was someone out there playing this game better than he was.
Right. That's the key point. One step ahead. He never imagined someone could be one step ahead of him. I love that too. So when they finally do get to the vault where Cooper's wife and children are, were you expecting it to be 2 empty cryotubes?
Yes.
Okay. Me too.
Either that or a little super mutant Janie?
Yeah, the daughter. Yeah. Well, because like one thing I was thinking was when Stephanie says execute Order 66 or whatever, phase 2, I was thinking that something was going to happen to the girl that Norm saved. I thought that like maybe people in other vaults were going to start like mutating or something, but then nothing happened with her. I was pretty sure that their tubes were going to be empty. Were you expecting that fucking postcard though?
No. I mean, they had to give some kind of clue as to what their whereabouts were. Otherwise, it would be a little too empty, I think, a little too hopeless.
Right.
And I wouldn't have expected her initiating phase 2 to happen that rapidly. Like, she wasn't going to that girl wasn't going to Hulk out. I do think there has to be some kind of method of like infusing the virus into somebody. Like, I don't think it's sitting dormant in people's bodies and whatever signal they're going to send out is going to trigger them. I think it is something more like, hey, we're going to release this into the water in these vaults, and this is what's going to happen. But so that is what I think is going to happen, So I think that Norm and Ruth are going back to the vault there, and by the time they get there, the water's tainted, and these people are being mutated at that point.
Yeah, I think you're right. And, it's important to point out, too, that Hank suggested that his chips that go into people's necks are already out there in the wasteland, too.
Yeah, I'm that I was confused about because I don't understand. I mean, he had a lot of people working for him there. And I say a lot, which is probably like 20 or so.
Right.
How could he have had the time to find that many people out there, manufacture all those things, and then install them on that many people without their knowledge or whatever? Like, how did that happen?
Right. I agree.
There with a blowgun and like shooting them back in their neck, sort of like
right.
Oh, it's a mosquito or something,
Right. Well, it kind of reminded me of the show Pluribus. Like, you haven't seen it yet, right?
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I mean, basically, well, all right. I don't want to fucking spoil it though. But there are some similarities between like the idea of him spreading this out in the wasteland and the way that people act and Pluribus. So I won't say any more though.
Okay.
But so yeah, so there's all this shit. There's this fucking Sentinel Prime that you're talking about. I know it's Liberty Prime. And the ships are out there, execute phase 2. There's all this shit going on. Then we have the NCR comes into Vegas and is able to save Maximus.
Yes. I really like that scene a lot there. I did think it was a little too far-fetched for Maximus to fight off that many death claws.
Absolutely.
So, but still not as bad as the Norm scene with the rat roaches.
Okay.
But I really loved the kind of fan service of having that shot of that NCR sniper, which is taken from the intro of New Vegas.
Okay.
Which is pretty awesome.
I saw that and I was like, oh, is that like literally a character from a Fallout game? Because I could have sworn I've seen it. Good.
Yeah, I don't think it's a character, but it's there is a sniper, and they do kind of zoom in on it, and and then the bullet firing out of the gun, and it just, I don't think it hits a death claw. I think it hits a person. I don't really remember, but yeah, that was clearly inspired by that intro.
Yeah, and speaking of inspired, I really love that scene because Maximus is just taking a beating. He's been fighting these things, and there's these people just watching from this store, and they're starting to take bets. And I like that his selflessness, which he chooses to be selfless. Like he knows he's gonna die. He gets out of the armor, and he could have ran away. He could have like tried to get other people involved, but he decides to like get a spear and a shield and fight these things. I liked that it was like inspiring people that like, oh, maybe something different is happening on the surface because of Maximus, and maybe he's different because he grew up in Shady Sands.
Yeah, I think because he had that good upbringing and he had that idealized vision of that brotherhood member saving him, right, after that traumatic accident there that Hank caused.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. I felt that I really liked that ending because I feel like he definitely inspired some people. Although I don't think they actually got to do anything. I think that one guy started to walk outside. And I also laughed when the lady taking bets was like, "You guys realize we're all going to die if he loses, right?" And they still keep betting.
Right. And then I also like that they're like, "We should go help him. He's just a kid." And she's like, "Yeah, I'm good." She's pretty funny, that lady. Yeah. But then another fucking funny moment was that Thaddeus, like everyone's betting, and he's like, "I want to do 500 caps that he wins," and then he like opens up his fucking pant leg and all these bottle caps fall out. Fantastic stuff.
Yeah.
And
he fired the gun from the roof with his foot too.
Yeah. So right. He's like, I gotta reload. Yeah, he's such good comic relief. Yeah. So do you think that a good portion of the third season is going to be this conflict between the Legion and the NCR, or do you think that's like something that might get resolved within the first episode and they're like out on the road after that?
Oh no, I think that's going to be a major portion of the next season. I think that Maximus was clearly disillusioned with the Brotherhood and the infighting and also the war that he started. Right. So I think it was really funny that both Lucy and Maximus sort of incited wars in a way. Yep. And they're finally together and going to be dealing with the same problems. So I do think that's going to be a big thing there. The fact that Macaulay Culkin is still there and now the leader. I also love the line about we're gonna take Vegas as our capital and make it place Caesar's palace.
Beautiful. Chef kiss. That was so fucking funny. So good.
That was fantastic. Yeah. So I think that's gonna be a big thing. I think that those characters are gonna be there. And I guess it's hard to really think about what's going to happen because we also have to consider too the super mutants and that whole angle that was completely forgotten about after the Ghoul was kind of healed. They're out there too, and they're going to end up fighting somebody. And then how does the Brotherhood fit in? So I don't know. It seems like Vegas is still going to be central for a while, and then also Colorado with the Ghoul. And I'm a little sad that I think that the Ghoul's going to be on his own for the most part for the next season. But I guess I can't think of any other reason how they're going to meet up moving forward.
Well, okay. Well, here's a question that ties into that. Does the ghoul have the diode?
No, I think he left it there.
Okay, right.
Because the diode is in the in that top floor where Mr. House's computer was.
Right. Right. And so like the very last scene, we have Maximus and Lucy together, and you know, they're referring to like what you just said, where it's like they both kind of started their own wars. And she even mentions how she did that, and he says this great line, "Welcome to the wasteland," which I believe is the last line of dialogue before the post-credit scene.
Yes, I think so.
And that's just a great, I love that. It's a great way to end the second season. They hold hands. And then you see Mr. House kind of flicker on that screen. So I think we're actually going to get him in the next season as well.
Yeah, I think so. Although it seems like he kind of transferred his programming or consciousness into that Pip-Boy, and it's in the vault there. But I imagine that he will be back in some capacity next season.
Yeah. It's great stuff. I mean, is there more that you want to go into or talk about? Or
the only thing I really wanted to go into also was back in Cooper's flashback there.
Yes.
You know, I had the question. One of the questions I posed last week was, we still don't really know what Cooper's downfall was and how he got to the point where he's doing birthday parties as one of his former characters. And this seems like it. So like he seems to be, being blamed as a scapegoat. He's got called out as a communist in a way, and he's going to be ostracized because of that. I didn't quite understand that. Who did that to him, though? Was it Vault-Tec? It couldn't have been the government and the Enclave, because he gave them the power. Or are they going to use him as a scapegoat? That's where I was a little confused there.
Yeah, I took it as like tying up loose ends. Like they didn't want him to have power, right? And that his wife isn't from the Enclave, right? So his wife is still dangerous. Right?
I think Barbara Howard is reluctantly working with them because she doesn't see another pathway. I don't think she really agrees or believes in them, but I think she's complacent to an extent. Like, what's Michael Emerson's name that we kept laughing about last week? Like
Whizzle Fizzle.
Yeah, Wizzy Sizzling or something like that.
Yeah, you're right.
Something like that. Because he was clearly, threatening her in that scene in episode 6 or 7. I don't remember.
Yeah.
So I think she does have good intentions, and she's trying to make the best of a bad situation. I think that's been made clear here. But at the same time, Cooper is with Janie when the bomb is dropped. And they made that whole big deal about how, if the mushroom cloud is so big, and when you're holding your fingers out like that, then there's no point in running. So I still want to know what happened from there, how Janie got to Barbara, how Cooper isn't there, because he clearly gets out of whatever happens because he's doing birthday parties, Right. There's still a lot more to tell in between to connect those 2 points story-wise.
Right. Yeah, that's the interesting part about this last episode, is that it felt like there could have been like true resolution, story arc ending for both Cooper and the ghoul in this episode, but then in both cases they're like, nope, there's more, and it's going to be intriguing. Like I think, right, exactly. So I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I eagerly look forward to more of it. But luckily, in between now and then, we're gonna get The Boys. We're gonna get Invincible. So Amazon's gonna keep feeding us.
Yeah, Amazon's our kind of like shining ray of hope here, which is horrible to say because it funds a billionaire. But
right, exactly.
I need something to forget the current events of the world. So
right. Yeah. Oh my God. So yeah, guys. We appreciate you watching our reviews of the show. We want to know what you thought about Fallout as well. We'll cover it when it comes back. Until then, we'll go into stasis, and we'll make sure to jump into your tube with you, okay?